This video is sponsored by alphadraft.com. Use code LONGBARREL on sign up. How's it going, guys? My name is LongBarrel, and today we're going to be talking about proper grenade usage. I got a lot of requests to do this video, so I put together everything I know about using grenades in hopes that you'll be able to transfer this knowledge into your own game. In front of you, you see a directory of the topics we'll be covering in this video. Click on any topic you'd like to see to get to that part of the video. I don't want to waste your time, so let's get started. Before we get into technical stuff, it is again important to make sure you have the perfect setup for your grenades so you'd be ready to use them immediately should they come into play. Now, the best way to start is to evaluate your bindings. Nothing is more convenient than to pull out whatever grenade you need with a single press of a button. For this, go ahead and pull out your in-game keyboard/mouse settings, scroll all the way down to the bottom until you see HE grenade. For each grenade, excluding the decoy, set an individual key for every type of grenade. Now for me, my smoke grenade is my mouse's forward button, my flashbang is my mouse's mouse wheel button, and my Molotov is my mouse's profile switch button, which I unbound in the Logitech software and set it to a random button on my keyboard. Now as for my HE grenade, I left it on default settings as it will be the first thing you'll pull out whenever you press the 4 key anyway. Therefore, it's very convenient to leave it as is. Now you have free range to do whatever you want with your bindings and set whatever key you want, but just make sure those buttons are easily accessible and you're not interfering with your other binds. Alright, so you set up your individual grenade binds. You can also choose to set up your buy binds. Buy binds are great as they save you a lot of time and freeze time. Now to do this, open up your in-game console and type the following commands. For me, I have my bind set in a line starting from right control all the way to the right arrow. This way I can buy all 4 grenades instantly by using just 4 fingers. These keys don't have to be easily accessible as you're not vulnerable while pressing them. I suggest using your numpad as all the keys are together and they're not being used. Flashbangs are very versatile. They can be used in many ways to put yourself in an advantage, and they only cost $200. Obviously, the best way to use a flash is to blind your enemies to gain an upper hand in a fight. There are many ways to flash your enemies, and the most obvious way is to throw a flash that won't give your enemy time to react. This is called a pop flash. To know how to pop flash, you must have a good understanding of flash timing so you don't end up flashing yourself or fail to execute a perfect pop. To learn how to pop flash, I think the best way to start is to learn the different types of throws. The simplest throws are the left click throw and the right click throw. If you're at a medium distance, you can hold both clicks, which will do a middle throw. Now here's where it gets interesting. Playing around with the timings of the clicks, you can find the right combination which will execute a throw to a certain distance depending on how long you held the keys. Instead of confusing you guys with this, I will teach you a neat little flash which is like an underhand flash but on steroids. To do it, simply right click once followed by a left click in succession. If you do this fast enough, it will execute a throw which is a bit beefier than the underhand throw. Now this throw basically eliminates the running underhand throw. It's perfect for situations where you might not want to start running to make the throw. It's also perfect for times where the distance might be an issue when trying to throw a pop flash. It's a little hard to get used to, but if you practice enough with it, you'll be able to do it effortlessly. Alright, so now that you know the different types of throws, we can focus on some of the ways you can put those throws into use. The most common one is the bank throw. This is performed by simply banking a flash off a wall or a surface for it to land in a certain spot. Bounce shots are similar, but instead of using a wall, you're using the ground to bounce it into the eyes of the enemy. Now, a good way to clear a corner is to perform an underhand jump throw. Jump throws are great in general as you're giving the throw that extra vertical velocity for it to go higher and gain more speed. Now, last but not least, one of the most useful throws is the backwards running throw. This is performed just like it sounds. Simply run back, click, and throw. This is good for those side corners where you're trying to throw a high flash. Now, if you know your flash timings, that throw is pretty much impossible to dodge. The key is not to let any flash go to waste. You don't want to be wasting a flash by pointlessly throwing it and not benefiting from it. Now, as long as it's able to help you with a task such as crossing an objective, clearing a section of the map, killing an enemy, preventing a push, denying information, contributing to a push, that flash was not wasted. Be mindful of how you use your flashes. If you understand the timing and the motive, each flash you throw will be an effective one. As much as flashes are useful, they can also be very annoying if you end up flashing your teammates. To prevent any accidents, make sure you always call what you're going to flash and when. Don't just assume your teammates can react to your flash. Make sure you say what you're about to flash, and if you can, tell any possible person to prepare for your throw. At the same time, don't think that calling just your flash is sufficient. You must call exactly what you're flashing. Not everybody will know where you are if you just call flashing. For other tips to prevent accidents is to always stay vigilant and anticipate the action of your teammates. For example, if you see a teammate about to push out of B tunnels, now would probably not be the best time to throw a flash. However, throwing a flash before they enter the tunnel would allow them to get supported by it and possibly even take side control. Also, you want to stay vigilant on the positions that your teammates have already taken control of. This will prevent you from throwing a needless flash and will save you the frustration of complaining teammates. As long as you pick good timing and know what's happening in the round, you should be able to avoid any team flash incidents. Should it so happen that you flash your teammate, simply apologize and learn from it. You know what you did wrong, so hopefully you can prevent it next time. Alright, moving on to something a bit more linear, the HE grenade. The HE grenade doesn't really have too many different roles other than blowing your enemy the fuck up. Costing just $300, it's not a bad investment to make if you're wondering what to spend your money on. The HE grenade will never do 100 damage to an enemy, but it still deals a considerable amount of it. It will deal up to 98 damage to unarmored opponents and up to 57 damage to armored opponents. The best way to use the HE is to blow up your opponents. The best strategy would be to save it as late into the round as possible. Too many people tend to chuck their grenade early in the round, completely wasting its potential. The reason it's best to save your HE at the end of the round is because at that point almost everybody has taken heavy hits and all you need is a well-placed HE grenade to finish them off. You'll find this is the most useful when attempting a site retake. Take the time to learn the common post-plant positions of every map. If you know the possible positions of the enemy, the next time you press your designated HE button, you'll be really happy you saved the grenade. Obviously, it won't always be the case that you save your HE till the end of the round. Sometimes you'll be forced to throw it early in the round for a kill opportunity. No matter what situation you're in, you should never throw a nade without putting a thought into it. The best and easiest nades to throw are the ones that already have pre-calculated angles. These angles are perfect for clearing the common spots around the maps. There are many tutorials on YouTube that highlight these nade angles and show how you can take advantage of them. I'm not going to cover all of them, but I will show you one angle in particular which in my opinion is super underrated. The angle I'm talking about is the pizza nade on short A on the map Dust 2. The reason why it's called a pizza nade is because it all has to do with the pizza sign on the wall above A site. You simply line yourself up on cat, aim for the pizza sign, run and throw. This nade will land on anyone hiding in sight and will do almost max damage to them. I still see people messing up this angle time and time again, so to make sure you don't do the same, just remember to always aim for the pizza sign. The best way I feel to abuse this angle is to simply double nade the guy on site if you've taken short A control. Simply ask your teammate to do a pizza nade and just watch as the guy on site gets blown up into pieces. The key thing to this angle is not to let the goose player see you, or else you might be the one getting blown up into pieces. But what about angles that are not pre-calculated? What you do is before throwing, make sure you have a good understanding of where that nade is headed. You see, throwing nades is a lot like playing pool. You really gotta know how angles work before making this shot. Be confident in your throw and do your best not to waste your nade. Take the time to decide if it's worth it. Analyze the situation and make the commitment if necessary. Now for something that you may or may not know, the HE grenades are not only used to blow people up. In fact, you can actually use them as a form of cover. What many pro players do is nade the mid door gap on Dust 2 to allow themselves to cross to B without being seen. The beauty of this trick is that you can rebuy the HE and in the process save a smoke from being wasted. This trick can be applied to pretty much anywhere there's dirt. The explosion of the nade shoots a bunch of dirt up into the air, creating a smoke type effect. Smokes, the good old source of your daily frustration. Smokes are nothing but mean, broken, frustrating, and unfair. Okay, they're not that bad, but they do have their negatives. How many times were you spammed through a smoke, shot from a one-way, made you think that you were covered but you weren't, concealed a ninja, etc. I guess what I'm trying to say is smokes always feel like they take the side of the enemy. But what if I told you I can show you how to flip that around? Smoke grenades have many uses in this game, and I'm going to start with the most obvious one, to block your enemy's vision. It is most common that CTs will throw a smoke at common choke points to prevent the Ts from pushing. The biggest mistake they make is throwing that smoke too early. In areas that the Ts don't really come out of too early, there's no point in throwing a smoke early in the round. If you wait until the late half of the round, at that point any smoke you throw will delay the enemy even further. The more of their time you waste, the higher the chance you'll have of winning the round. Smokes have an 18-second timer. Therefore, in situations where the enemy has only 30 to 40 seconds to execute, that smoke can easily rain on their parade and win you the round single-handedly. If you can coordinate with your team to keep re-smoking positions throughout the round, you can imagine the impact it can have on the Ts. Now moving on from defending, attackers also greatly benefit from smoke grenades in a form of executions. Smokes play a big role in strategy executions. Their job is to create a cover around the bomb site so the Ts have an easier time getting on the site. These executes rely on specific smokes that land in specific areas around the map. The best way to learn these smokes is to look at YouTube tutorials and practice them in-game. I would suggest learning at least 3 to 4 important smokes for each bomb site on every map, but it wouldn't hurt to learn as many smokes as possible so that the next time someone asks you to throw a smoke, you'd be ready to go. Smokes also have other great uses, one of which abuses their one-way vision potential. One-way smokes are a big bitch in this game as they abuse the smoke's transparent edge to gain an advantage over the oblivious enemy. If you wish to learn common one-way smokes, there are many YouTube tutorials out there on this topic. Be wary that most one-way smokes are already well known by most players, so if they see a one-way smoke attempt, they will most likely spam this smoke. For some other tips with smokes, one of which is you can use it as a cover while hiding from the enemy. At the same time, if you're burning in a Molotov, instead of panicking, put out the fire with your smoke. If you see an odd smoke, fire a few shots into it. There's a big chance an enemy is hiding it. And last but not least, if you're trying to defuse but the enemy is still alive, throw a smoke on the bomb and go for it. The smoke has many uses, but for every good use, it has just as many misuses. Play smart and think twice before throwing a smoke. A wasted smoke could come back and bite you in the ass. Last but definitely not least, my favorite grenade, the fire grenade. To keep things simple, I'm going to refer to both equivalent grenades as the Molotov. I like the Molotov for two reasons. It's simple and it's effective. Both the Molotov and the incendiary grenade are used to spread fire over a position to prevent the enemy players from being there. Although they are on the expensive side, costing $400 for the Ts and $600 for the CTs, it's definitely worth the purchase. If you're not a big user of the Molotov, the best way to get it into a habit is to refer to your buy binds. If you set up your Molotov buy bind, then you should have no problem buying it every single round possible. With the combination of your designated molly bind, you should become comfortable with it after just a few pugs. As a T, your job with the molly is to flush your opponent out of common positions and into more vulnerable areas. When taking sights or map control, if you feel like an enemy is hiding in a certain spot, throw a molly there to make sure. Take the time to learn common hiding spots and start mollying those positions. You'll quickly notice its effectiveness. You can also communicate with your team to molly out multiple positions at once. You can even go as far as carpet bombing the entire site if you wish. After you have taken site or a position, you can use mollies to delay or keep the CTs from retaking map control. A smart tactic would be to save your molly until the bomb is about to explode. Molotov the bomb to ensure the CTs can't defuse it. Similarly to the Ts, the CTs use the molly to delay or prevent the Ts from taking site or map control. It's usually best to save your Molotov for as long as possible or until you see the Ts executing. Mollying their point of entrance can delay them for up to 7 seconds, giving time for the rest of your team to rotate. You can also set up a trap for the Ts by mollying their point of entry so they run straight into the fire. In retake situations, Molotovs can greatly help you take back control a lot quicker and more efficiently. When attempting a retake, Molotov come in spots to flush the enemy out into vulnerable positions. Coordinate with your team to molly multiple positions at once. You can also use a molly to trap the enemy while you go out for the defuse. Just spray to Gabe if they don't have 100 HP. Now, being the most expensive grenade, wasting a molly is definitely not an option. Be really sure you're putting that molly into good use. Treat it with respect and it will reward you. Fuck around and it will screw you over. So in conclusion, each grenade has its ups and downs. You must learn what those ups and downs are so you can be successful in using each grenade. Don't be afraid to get creative with them. Find new ways to use them, but do your best to ensure no grenade is wasted. Thank you guys so much for watching. This took a lot of effort to prepare, so if you don't mind sharing this video and leaving a like, I would greatly appreciate it. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. My name has been Lombarrel, and remember, be water, my friends.